Time for the Saturday review here at SDH. We'll go through some of the news and some of the notes that we missed on Friday. Major League Soccer and USL Championship teams making roster decisions. We'll get you posted on that. Remember, teams eliminated from the championship have to declare who's under contract, who's staying, who they may bring back under contract negotiations, that kind of a thing. But the biggest news coming out on Saturday afternoon was Euro 2024. We've got groups, we've got games, we have all of the activities there. So England was drawn with Denmark. Scotland's going to face Germany in the opener. Let's go through all of the groups and hear from some of the particulars. So England faces Denmark, Slovenia, and Serbia in the Euro 2024 group next summer. Scotland kicks off the tournament against Germany and their head coach Julian Nagelsmann on June the 14th. When it comes to everyone else that's there, the Gareth Southgate side facing a repeat of their Euro 2020 semi against the Danes in Group C, having won that one 2-1 after extra time back in July of 2021, before eventually losing to Italy in the final. England's first game, June 16, sees them travel to Gelsenkirchen to take on Serbia, who finished second in qualifying Group G behind Hungary, who they have not faced since the split with Montenegro back in 2006. Your draw in full: Group A, Germany, Scotland, Hungary, Switzerland. Group B, Spain, Croatia, Italy, Albania. Group C, Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, England. Group 4, qualifier between Poland, Wales, Finland, and Estonia, joining the Netherlands, Austria, and France. Group E, Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, and the survivor of Israel, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Ukraine, and Iceland with their four-way. And Group F, it is Turkey that will be joined by either Georgia, Greece, Kazakhstan, or Luxembourg. The winner of those four, Portugal, and the Czech Republic. So the schedule for England, once again, going to Denmark 4 days later in Frankfurt before rounding off their group June 25th in Cologne against Slovenia, who England previously beat in the must-win final group game back in World Cup 2010 to reach the knockouts. So let's hear from some of the particulars from some of the groups. We've got fixtures and routes coming up on the other side of this. First off, you got to hear from pundits. So here's what the BBC and our friends at BBC Sport thought about the England draw.
I don't think England can complain with that group. I think that's been pretty favourable when you look at some of the teams that have been drawn out against each other. So I think Gareth will be extremely happy.
James?
Comfortable group for England as usual, I have to say.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, I mean...
Don't be like that.
I'm always kidding. England will be favourites no matter who we're in the group.
Yeah, just looking at it, I don't think Denmark are as strong as they once were. You know, I think everybody fancied them at the World Cup, and they had a poor World Cup. And Serbia's an interesting one, sort of Vlahovic and Jovic and Tadic. Players who we're familiar with, that won't be easy. But you think that it's a pretty sort of soft group for England.
Speaking of England, a couple of visits with Gareth Southgate. First off, from our friends at the BBC, they asked him what it's going to be like with the fans behind him and how important they are to this process.
Just one about the sort of the fans, if I may. Jim, this is a heartland of football. It could be, it's as good as being in England. The support's going to be fantastic. The English fans will travel in huge numbers as well. Just talking to Kasper Hjulmand as well, said there's going to be so many Danes coming over for that. This tournament, it's already an excitement about the fans and the fans' involvement. How much does that help you as well, knowing you could have 10, 20, 30,000 English fans in a stadium?
Yeah, well, the most recent tournaments have been a little bit different because it wasn't so easy to get to Russia or Qatar, and the Euros, we were coming out of COVID and was very different as well. So this will be a little bit more like the tournaments when I was playing and when I was growing up, and yeah, we're looking forward to that. We're pleased that our fans are excited because that's what it's all about.
Then once again, looking at the group in and of itself that contains England, they caught up with the rival coaches and Philipp Lahm. So it is Julian Nagelsmann, Marco Rossi, Murat Yamin, and Philipp Lahm talking about the other teams in the group and their perspective on this group of four.
Reaction to facing Scotland, and what are you expecting from them?
It's a team who defend brilliant. Most of the time they defend a bit deeper and try to play some counter-attacks. Brilliant players like McTominay scored 7 goals in the M qualifier. They did brilliant in the qualification. at the end, I think it will be a very emotional first game of the European Championship because it's in Munich. I hope our fans will be emotional, and also the Scotland fans. Everybody know that they are very emotional, so it's a perfect first game.
Scotland, very good. They are a quite physical team, very aggressive, playing a very strong defense style. I mean, when they have to defend, they are quite strong. Physically, are difficult to be faced, especially in the standard situation. They are quite dangerous. It's not an easy opponent, and I think that we will need to be on the top to be able to try to win against them, of course.
At first, of course, in this group, Germany is the favorite, and next is the neighbor game is always very tough, and now we know our situation, we know our strength side and weakness side, and that's more important. Now, of course, Scotland. It's a nice team to play against them, and we are happy.
Each opponent is not easy during a European Championship, so every match you have to be concentrated, focused on the opponent. So we will see. Not an easy group. It is a tough group with also with Hungary and with Switzerland. So not easy.
They did really well. They beat Spain also. So just the fact that they were able to beat Spain is saying everything about Scotland. So if they beat Spain, they could beat everybody.
So then our friends at Sky Sports, speaking of Gareth Southgate and circling back to that, asked him about the pressure of winning the Euro tournament.
What pressure do you feel you're under when you look now for the preparations for this group stage? You want to win the tournament. It's been semi-finals, a final, quarter-finals. How much pressure are you under from yourself at the whole thing to actually take this team and win a title?
Well, you're quite right. Probably the biggest pressure is what you put on yourself because of what you want to achieve and what you want to bring for your country, really. But it's no more or less than when I started in the job 7 years ago. We now have a lot more experience of big matches, a lot more experience of navigating tournaments. So we're looking forward to it. We're hoping that we can give our fans, our public, some more great nights like I think we have in the last 3 tournaments.
What do you think you've learnt from, you mentioned there, the last 3 tournaments? You've got so close. What do you think you've learned that can help you just go that step further?
Well, the first thing is that when you have a difficult performance or a difficult result, which happens in every tournament, we've been able to navigate that. So even the players have got used to that. We had one with Scotland in the last Euros, we had one with the USA in the last World Cup. So you have to stay on track in those moments. But also we've got great experience of really big matches. I mean, we've had several quarterfinals which people kind of dismiss now, but quarterfinals of major tournaments are big games, and we won one in Russia against Sweden that we won quite comfortably. We beat Ukraine, which was also one that looked more comfortable because of the way we approached it. They're big nights, and they're stored in the memory bank for us as a staff, but also a lot of the players that are with us.
And then with Scotland starting the tournament, BBC caught up with Steve Clark and Scotland FA CEO Ian Maxwell about their expectations and what they're looking forward to with the tournament coming up.
What are your thoughts about Germany, not just the host nation, but obviously you're going to be the opening match as well in this tournament?
Yeah, it's good. Like I say, you know what you're up against. Be nice to open the tournament, nice to be involved in that first game, and hopefully we can set the tournament off with a good match.
Yeah, that's going to be a really special occasion, isn't it, more than anything else?
Well, for us, we've got to make sure it's not about the occasion, it's about the match. So now we look forward to it. It's an exciting draw. I don't think it really mattered who we were going to get. It was always going to be exciting for us.
Fantastic, absolutely delighted to be involved in the first game.
a lot of people back in Scotland still talk very fondly about France '98 and their participation in the opening match there, and it's great to be doing the same again next summer in Germany.
Yeah, it's just going to be a fantastic occasion. Everyone's going to want to get a ticket for that one, aren't they?
The way my phone's buzzing, there's a lot of people looking for tickets. Yeah, listen, it's always going to be the way. We'll take tens of thousands of Scots over to Germany. They'll have a fantastic time. I can imagine there's websites crashing at the moment as they try and book tickets and flights and hotel rooms, but that's the joy that the tournament brings and the joy that qualification brings, and it's great to see it.
And just what was going through your mind when you were in there? Obviously nice to be part of it, wasn't it? And the flag and the name there going through your mind when the draw's coming out. Nothing you can do about it, but are you able to enjoy it a little bit?
I was actually thinking I'm quite hungry, need a bit of dinner. That was the first thought I had. No, it was as always with UEFA, they put on a good show, so it was a good show.
And Germany have embraced the draw. No doubt they'll embrace the Euros as well. How just your thoughts on how this country will handle it, and what kind of tournament you think we'll be expecting?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll handle the Tartan Army, but they better be ready for a lot of Scotsmen coming.
So fixtures and routes have all been laid out, and getting into that particular element of it all, when you look at the upcoming tournament, once again, England fixtures, dates, potential routes, and all this kind of material. Once again, England faces Denmark, Slovenia, Serbia in 24. So you have that group for Group C. They get out of group, and you look at the group stage with all of the fixtures. We mentioned England in Group C. You have Scotland with Germany on June 14, Switzerland June 19, Hungary on June 23, and Wales, if they qualify, would face the Netherlands on the 16th, Austria on the 21st, and France on June 25th. The top two in each group plus the four best third-place teams will go through to the knockouts. And so if you're looking at it from an England perspective, potential route to the final would be England versus Austria, Romania, Turkey. Then the quarterfinal could be England and Italy, if things, and this is once again Sky Sports' view of how it could look. Semifinal could be France and England. The final could be Spain and England. So that's what they're looking at as if they won the group. So the potential route to the final, if they were group runner-up in Group C, it'd be Germany and England in the round of 16, possibly. Once again, this is taking into account all kinds of extrapolations and such. Spain and England in the quarters, England and the Dutch in the semis, and England and France in the final. So that's how it could. That's how it all could shake out with the Euro. So you've got the Euro, you've got your groups, and it is going to be interesting once again to see how all of this lays out when it comes to the Euros. But we've got our groups, we've got your fixtures, and you have your paths all laid out. Everybody is grabbing all of their notes and trying to figure out how it could go one way or the other when it comes to the Euros. The day in the Premier League, you had interesting results. Arsenal knocking off Wolves 2-1. Arsenal had a 2-0 lead early and hung on. Wolves scored with about 10 to go. And it was all Wolves later than late, but they could not get an equalizer. Brentford, a big 3-1 win over Luton Town. Burnley put 5 on Sheffield United, probably the shock result of the day. Burnley was favored at home at Turf Moor to win, but now everybody once again looking at Paul Heckingbottom, wondering what the future is going to be for him at Sheffield United. Everton beats Nottingham Forest by the final of 1-0, so that means now that Nottingham Forest has only won 1 of their last 10. They've drawn 4, lost 5, but you now wonder the level of patience that the owner Evangelinos Marinakos may have. Had the same kind of issues last season, sat through them, and everything was, everything would end up fine with Nottingham Forest surviving late. Last season, Steve Cooper got a contract extension, so we'll see what happens with this season. So Everton knocking off Nottingham Forest 1-0. You end up with Dwight McNeil winning the match after seeing Murillo clear an effort off the goal line in the 41st minute. Murillo had to be subbed off. He was really struggling in the first half with an injury. Everton up to 18th. Felipe would hit the post for Forest, who complained about a big error from VAR on a penalty call. Back-to-back home Premier League defeats. So Steve Cooper obviously not pleased with that one. And the late game, it was Newcastle over Manchester United by the final of 1-0. But the news in this one is the injury to Nick Pope, and it looked like it was a left shoulder injury. Initially, folks thought it might have been a left knee or hip as he was trying to make a save that he got some assistance on in front of him, but as he landed, it looked like full extension with the left arm, and he had to have the left arm restricted as he was being taken off under obvious distress. Martin Dubravka came in and was there for the final 10 minutes or so for that game. So once again, Eddie Howe gets another name added to the injury list. How long and the seriousness of the injury, we do not know yet. So we'll get into news overseas and transfer gossip, rumor, and innuendo as we go. You end up with FA Cup activity and the National League Southside Maidstone stunned League Two high flyers Barrow. Remember, Barrow made some news last season as well, come from behind victory to win to get to the FA Cup third round for the first time with a 2-1 win. Women's Champions League are going to have a new format from 2025. Currently, 16 teams are split into 4 groups, but from 25-26, 18 teams will compete in one league, 3 home, 3 away, before moving into a knockout phase. Changes approved by UEFA's Executive Committee at a meeting in Hamburg on Saturday, moving the competition closer to the new format planned for the Men's Champions League. So keep an eye on that one. There were a handful of matches that were postponed because of the nasty weather in England. One in the FA Cup, Blackpool and Forest Green Rovers, due to an FA investigation, got postponed for a little bit. So the second round tie postponed over an FA investigation over an ineligible player. The Barnsley kicked out of the FA Cup last week for fielding an ineligible player. Rovers were due to play Blackpool on Saturday. So you have the second round game postponed, investigating whether or not they played an eligible player in round 1. So keep an eye on Forest Green Rovers. And are they going to get knocked out of FA Cup and have a walkover for their opposition? 4 matches in the upper divisions in Scotland. You had 4 more in League 1 and 1 in League 2. You had a lot of pitch inspections, so it was roughly 10 matches that were postponed because of the weather, specifically in Scotland on the day. So, you have all of that going on. Bayern Munich's Bundesliga match with Union Berlin was postponed because of heavy snowfall in the city. CEO Jan Christian Dresen posted to social media with very much regret they have to postpone the match. Safety of the fans and supporters of Union Berlin, absolute priority. Inform you about a new date as soon as possible. So, intriguing stuff there. So, and you look at the pictures, there is a big snowdrift, and I'm not kidding. There is a big snowdrift outside the stadium there with Bayern. So, transfer center news. Ruben Neves has shut the door on a potential move to Newcastle, saying he wants to stay with Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, signed for £47 million in the summer for Wolves, strongly linked with a loan to Newcastle, also owned by the PIF. Asked if it was possible. Neves told BBC Sport, "I don't go." And then he had another couple of sentences attached to it. So, Liverpool summer signing Wataru Endo has found the Premier League more difficult than he expected, confident he can improve and contribute more as a £12 million arrival from Stuttgart, something of as a stopgap solution because of the lack of defensive midfielders following Fabinho's unexpected departure to Saudi Arabia. Endo has gotten most of his time in Europa League and in the Gummy Bear Cup, signed in mid-August, did not help the integration, so he's gradually working his way into shape and into Liverpool shape. Roy Hodgson says Crystal Palace will prioritize cover for injured midfielder Czech Doucouré in the January transfer window. Doucouré ruptured an Achilles in last week's defeat at Luton, could be out for the rest of the season. Eberici Eze sustained an ankle injury in the same match. Hodgson told a press conference he'll push for reinforcements. Also, Thomas Frank says he thinks Ivan Toney will not leave Brentford in the January transfer window, still serving his 8-month ban. We'll see what happens come the turn of the calendar. Brendan Rodgers is confident that Celtic can sign extra quality going forward for Celtic, so keep an eye on that. Major League Soccer, they've had some roster movement as well and announcements of players and such Minnesota United had their 2023 end-of-season roster decisions, exercising the contract options on Arriaga, Boxall, Oluwaseyi, Joseph Rosales, and Zarek Valentin. Players with guaranteed contracts, they're on the board. Club declined options for Bakai Debasi, Eric Dick, Fred Emmings, Mender Garcia, Jan Gregish, Emmanuel Iwe, Ryan Jiba, and Ismail Tajuri Shradi. Cameron Dunbar, Brent Coleman, and Will Trapp are out of contract. Club is undergoing contract negotiations with Dunbar, Emmings, Tajuri Shradi, and Trapp. So keep an eye on that. San Jose has announced their roster moves as well. Exercised the 24 option on 6 players: Akapo, Mooney, Baldissimo, Jackson Ewell, Yuseni Buddha, and Will Richmond. Club will not exercise the purchase options on Ayo Akinola and Matthew Hoppe. They've exercised the purchase option on defender Rodriguez. From Gremio, Jonathan Mensah and midfielder Jack Scahan out of contract following the 23 season. Mensah eligible for free agency, and the Quakes have made a bona fide offer to Scahan to maintain his MLS rights in 2024. Austin FC has exercised the contract option for defender Hector Jimenez, remains under contract through the end of the 24 season. So news out of Club Verde. Real Salt Lake announced some front office and technical staff changes from President John Kimball. Club promoted veteran front office member Kurt Schmidt to the role of sporting director, serving as RSL's interim chief soccer officer. During his 3 years, Schmidt has played an integral role from the team release. That integral role in building the first-team roster, managing salary cap, recruiting on-field coaching, support staff talent, and also, Tony Beltran, assistant GM, will bear additional responsibilities, and Pablo Mastroeni and others will be guiding everyone through RSL, the Royals, Monarchs, and RSL Academy. Kimball also announced that the Blitzer Smith ownership group will conduct a global general manager search effective immediately, while RSL and former GM Elliot Fall remain in discussions regarding his future with the club. Club announced a trio of longtime assistant coaches Matt Taylor, Brett Jacobs, and Nacho Hernandez will not be renewed for the 24 season. Schmidt, Beltran, and Mastroeni have already begun a search process to fill those positions before the Super Draft and the commencement of the 24 season on January 13th. So keep an eye on all of that. MLS Cup being on the 9th. Remember, the trade window opens on the 11th. End of year waivers is on the 12th. Free agency opens on the 13th. The trade window closes at 9 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday morning. Re-entry process is Thursday the 14th. Super Drafts on the 19th. Re-entry Stage 2 is on the 21st. January 10th is when preseason begins in Major League Soccer. RSL and MLS season kicks off on Saturday, February the 24th. In USL Championship, Memphis 901 has signed veteran attacker Marlon Santos to a 2-year deal. So Marlon Santos goes from Birmingham to Memphis 901. Minnesota United and DJ Taylor have combined to sign a new 2-year deal with a club option for 2026. Year-end roster moves for the New England Revolution, exercising the permanent transfer of Tomas Shankalai, exercise the options on 6 players to bring the 24 roster to 27 players, exercising the 1-year options on Andrew Farrell, Carlos Heel, Jacob Jackson, Damian Rivera, and Ryan Spalding. 2-year contract option on Ian Harks has kicked in, and Shankalai is a DP now through the 26 season with an option for 27. 3 new homegrown players set to join the roster in 24, ascending to first team. Peyton Miller at the age of 16, Tiago Suarez and Malcolm Fry, both 18, available for MLS competition in 2024. You might remember them from New England Revolution 2 in MLS Next Pro. Inter Miami CF is set to face El Salvador, their national team, during the 2024 preseason. The match is set for January 19th at the Estadio Cuscatlan in preparation for the 2024 campaign. So an interesting start for Inter Miami, as they will be on the road and they will be going to El Salvador to take on the El Salvadoran national team. Philadelphia has signed Jesus Bueno to a new contract, and he will be staying in Philadelphia for the foreseeable future. Tim Howard, elected to the National Soccer Hall of Fame class of 2024, 46 of 48 ballots, a near unanimous selection on the ballot. And so Tim Howard, once again, was announced this morning on his coverage of the Premier League that he's heading into the Soccer Hall of Fame as a class, as the part of the class in 2024. So congratulations to Tim Howard for all of the work that he has done. And now also it is going to be Francisco Marcus, who is going to be from the Builder ballot as a part of the class of 2024. And so there are pictures out there on social media with Tim Howard receiving his news and receiving the award. Very, very cool stuff for Tim Howard to be heading into the class and being a part of the class in the National Soccer Hall of Fame in 2024. Josh McKinney is also headed to the Hall of Fame. And Josh McKinney is on the player ballot after being a forward from West Virginia. 124 U.S. CPM&T caps, a 19-year career, 81 all-time, three-time Paralympian, 96, 04, and 2012. Led the team to the USA's best finish in the Paralympics, was a fourth-place finish, and he captained the USA 72 times. So great news there as Josh McKinney is heading to the Hall of Fame as well. So that is your Saturday recap to get you ready for the action on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have 4 teams in Major League Soccer, and we'll have 2 by the end of the weekend. So very, very busy Saturday across the board in a lot of divisions with a lot of news and a lot of stuff. So hopefully enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday. Played safe, everybody. That's the Saturday review here on SDH.